pull any punches. I'm gonna really let you know how bad it is for two reasons. One, because I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better. And two, because at the end I'm gonna tell you why I'm hopeful, and I hope because of my honesty at the beginning, you're gonna really believe why we have reason to hope. And then 2 days later, a leaked memo from the Supreme Court, and I was right. It was gonna get a lot worse before it got better, and I realized I needed to establish an alibi that I hadn't been the leaker, but 25 years also means that we've been in these wars before. We've been in these battles. We've been in them with a whole lot less resources, with a whole lot fewer allies. I remember in those early days of Equality Florida when we had a hard time finding a statewide board of directors because there were people fearful of having their name on this new entity, this new organization. We weren't living in a state where we had places that were welcoming. When we approached our mayors and our city councils, we were counting 1 or 2 possible friends that we might reach out to. We weren't approaching out LGBT elected leaders who from the inside would help us navigate. We were fearful of doing work around safe schools because we'd been through this before. We'd been through the Johns Committee, where the Florida legislature put together a committee with the sole goal of purging our education system of Black civil rights advocates and, quote, homosexuals. And that's not ancient history. Bill Young served on that committee back then. And then we saw it again. We saw it with Anita Bryant and her Save Our Children campaign, which promoted the same kind of hateful lies we're hearing now from the DeSantis administration that are being used to make schools more hostile to our children. And it's very personal for me. My wife is here, Andrea, I love you. She's been, and we have a son who turned 11 on May 4th, our Star Wars baby. And I remember taking him to school and his new classmates coming to the slow realization that he had 2 moms, and hearing a kid ask, off in the distance, "You have 2 moms? That's weird." And hearing his teacher immediately intervene to say, yes, some kids have 2 moms, some have a mom and a dad, some have 2 dads, and some are raised by 1 parent. There's a lot of different ways that there are families in this school. Very simple. Now, the Florida legislature, Republican leadership, Ron DeSantis would have you believe that that is a conversation about sex, that it is inappropriate, even pornographic, to teach basic decency, basic respect for each other. Right now, there's a lot of conversations happening around the Don't Say Gay bill, with the governor saying this is about not having sexual conversations, inappropriate conversations, age-inappropriate conversations with kindergartners and 3rd graders. That's not what it is. And if you had the displeasure of listening to the legislature as they debated this bill, you'd know 2 things. You'd know that the people who sponsored this bill had one goal, and that was to erase our existence in our schools, to make schools intentionally hostile to LGBT kids and to parents who are LGBT. They have this belief right now that America is slipping away from them, and they're right. We are a multiracial, LGBT inclusive America that is being born right now, and it scares them. They are fearful of being a minority in a country that has not treated those called minorities very well. And so they are lashing out. It is an existential panic. It is irrational. It is filled with fear, and they do not care who they hurt. And so it's hard. It's hard to fathom who would go out of their way to make schools more hostile. But they believe if they can make us fearful, if they can make us hide again, if they can force us out of the public sphere, if they can take the power of the voters away through gerrymandering and voter suppression, if they can take power away from city government and county commissions through these bills they call preemption, which is really just about the state taking power from the people we elected most closely to where we live, that they can push us backwards. And that's the moment that we're in right now. That's the dangerous moment that we're in right now. And what they've made very, very clear, going after Roe v. Wade, going after any honest conversation about racism and the remedies that would flow from that conversation, is that there are no guardrails. There's nothing that is sacred to them. There's no harm they're unwilling to inflict in their fear, in their panic. And so for us in this moment, what do we do? And I'm going to say we've got to do two things. We have to take them deadly serious in this moment. We've got to get pissed off. We can lead with love, but let there be some anger in that, because they mean to hurt us. And let us remember who we are, because I remember coming out, and I remember that my father did not speak to me for years, as close as our family was. I remember how painful it was to be a kid in school, terrified, absolutely terrified, that if anyone figured out that I was gay, that was game over. You know, there's a book, The Best Little Boy in the World, by Andy Tobias, talks about how if you bank enough points, if you're head of the class, if you're valedictorian, if you're the best, that maybe when this secret comes out, you'll have banked enough points that you won't lose everything. I was that kid. Total overachiever, right? There's a lot of us. Frankly, employers, it's why we make really great employees. I'm not saying that. Research and science says that. I remember that. And in moments like this, as we see these ugly, ugly slurs against our community, this hateful attack against our kids, for many of us, it's reopening some of that pain. But here's the thing. We are not 15 and 13 and 12. We are the adults that we needed. We have become the adults that would have made us feel safe back then. And we have tools that we didn't have when we were kids. And we better use every damn one of them. That means we gotta vote and drag all of our I'm not political friends out to vote and make sure that the people in our world understand that you can't love us and vote against our survival. We gotta use our money. We gotta use our money in two ways. You all are here because you've used your money to support the work of Equality Florida, and I am so grateful to you for that. But pay attention to where you spend your money too. Because right now, it's a gut check moment for business. You know, all of the businesses that show up at Pride, that talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, this is a gut check moment about whether or not you're ready to walk that talk. So when you see PNC and you see the other companies here who support Equality Florida and whose logos are out front and center, thank them, because they are walking the talk. They showed up for the fight. They didn't duck. They didn't hide. There is a reason that they systematically have gone after companies they call woke corporations, because they're trying to intimidate business leadership that understands from a business perspective that making not only the workplace but the community a safe and welcoming place for your employees to live, work, and raise families is an important part of attracting and retaining top talent. So when you speak out on behalf of your employees and their safety and their family's safety, that is good business. When you refuse to, that's politics. Spend your money with companies that show up for the fight. And I want to tell you the third thing that we got to do. And this one, it's hard to exactly quantify. We got to look out for each other. It means that you don't have to be trans to understand how hateful this attack on trans kids is. So much so that the Republican governor of Utah said, "I've never seen so much hate directed at so few ever in my life." We got to show up for each other. And one of the things about having been around for a while is I remember what it was like. I mean, we didn't have anybody but each other. In the hospital rooms where families had abandoned us, where the president wouldn't say the words of the pandemic that was wiping out our community, we were there for each other. We leaned on each other. We held each other up. And we weren't bonded by blood. We were bonded by love and the fact that nobody was going to rescue us but ourselves. And so when I say in this moment, it means the world to me to be here tonight, to see all of you here, and to know that unlike back then, we have strong organizations. We have straight allies who are right here in the trenches with us, and we know who we are. So, here's the reason I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because in the middle of that Don't Say Gay fight, students from all over Florida poured out of their classrooms. They did a statewide walkout. And let me be clear, they didn't call us, they didn't ask for permission, they told us this is what's up, this is what we're doing, we're not having it. And that energy, we need to absorb that energy and remember what it feels like to say, we aren't having it anymore. We're not taking it anymore. We're going to fight back. We're going to fight whoever comes for our community, and we're not going to let them come after who they perceive as the weakest and say, well, thank goodness it wasn't me. You might not have been the appetizer, but you're damn sure on the menu, and right now, they used our community to prime the pump for what comes next. It's not an accident that we see this racist attack, this anti-trans, anti-LGBT attack, and this attack on our own ability to have the freedom to decide what to do with our own bodies. These things are all tied together, and it is why Equality Florida has been a pro-choice organization from the very moment we were formed. We understood those connections. It is why we are an anti-racist organization. From the day we were formed, we understand that our fates are tied, and we better show up for each other. So I'm going to leave you with this one more piece, and this is the hope that I have. Yes, it's rooted in those young people. It's rooted in everyone here. It is the ability to have our past mayor and our current mayor take this podium and speak from the heart and mean it and know that they're in it with us. And it's also rooted in this. It's called the Streisand effect. Now, if you don't know what the Streisand effect is, I chose it because it's the gayest explanation I think I could give. But Google did these aerial map of the coast of California, and they put it up on the internet. And eventually Barbra Streisand came to realize that an aerial photo of her home was included, and she didn't like that. So she told Google, take it down. They refused. I think they went to court. She did not prevail. But here's the thing. Before she tried to stop that aerial view of her home, maybe 4 or 5 people had downloaded it. By the time all the publicity around all of this had ended, more than 4 million people had. They are working really hard to suppress, repress, closet, erase, intimidate all of us. But I think that they have miscalculated. I think that we are showing up for each other We are showing up just like those students who poured out of their classrooms. We have allies showing up in places that we didn't even know we had allies. And so instead of this being the moment, just like with marriage equality, when 38 states banned marriage, including this one, and I remember the night that Barack Obama became president was also the night that 6 out of 10 Floridians went to the polls and said, you can't have what we have. It was a hard night, kind of like this. Excitement and horror. But here's the thing that they didn't count on. By forcing that question, state after state after state, what happened in the aftermath is we saw immediate support across the board for everything we were working on increase in the aftermath of that vote. It's why we went to court when a lot of people said, Florida's not going to get marriage until the Supreme Court declares it. And we said, we think differently, and we were right. The first marriage came to Florida before the EQFL decision, because we were willing to believe that if we told our love stories, if we told the truth about who we are, we would change this state. And we're back in court again. There's a lawsuit called Equality Florida versus DeSantis. We are proud to be plaintiffs in that case, challenging this Don't Say Gay bill. Dan Van Tice is here. He and his husband and his family are plaintiffs in that case. We're going to keep the focus on the people bearing the brunt, the children and the parents in Florida, as the state allows an angry anti-LGBT cabal of activists strip our schools of anything that reflects us. And to be clear, let me just give you a taste of what they've done. It's not just the language of this horrible bill, but they have been going school district by school district. In one school district, they have challenged 156 books, calling them inappropriate, almost all of them by Black authors or inclusive of LGBT content. This includes And Tango Makes Three, the true story of two penguins raising a chick in a Bronx zoo, which they have labeled as pornographic because the two penguins are male. This is the madness that we are in the grip of right now. And so I have hope because I am seeing all across the country, all across our state, people showing up. And it's evident here tonight with this record-breaking crowd and record-breaking fundraising that all of you have made possible. So do not cower, do not be fearful, get angry, get organized, stay involved, and wake up the people around you because it's time to fight back. Thank you so much.